possibly dangerous heat indexes well over 100 degrees. We're going casual Tuesday here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. A bit of a split shift for me today, working on some stories down the road that we'll be able to bring you here on Fox Local, as well as the FOX6 Milwaukee YouTube channel. Some fun ones I'm very excited about, but wouldn't miss an hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk with you here on this Tuesday afternoon, especially on a potentially momentous day for the Milwaukee Brewers and for the entire city of Milwaukee. Why? Well, why would I be showing you a live camera from Seattle, besides the fact that it's just beautiful out there, of course? Great look at the Space Needle. If you ever get the opportunity to visit Seattle, highly recommend going to the top of the Space Needle. Amazing views and kind of cool history about the space age development of that now iconic tourist attraction in the Pacific Northwest. But that has nothing to do with the reason we are showing you this live camera today. That would be because your Milwaukee Brewers play once again in Seattle tonight. It is an 8:40 first pitch here Central Time, 6:40 of course on the West Coast on this Tuesday evening, and what it could mean for the Brewers. We will pop up the tweet after another victory last night. A shutout of the Mariners in the opener of that series brought the streak to 11. The first place Milwaukee Brewers, that has a pretty good ring to it as well. The first National League team to 60 wins, and in large part because they have won 11 straight at this point. Absolutely sensational streak. They are the best team in baseball over the last couple months, and certainly over the last 11 games. No one better than this. Why is this so important? Well, because of the tradition in Milwaukee with George Webb Restaurants predicting 12 wins in a row equals free burgers for the fans. So we are very excited to bring you some more on this. We're hoping to do an interview with a member of the George Webb Restaurant Group throughout this 2-hour stretch of Fox Local, but we'll see if we can pull that off for you live here on digital. 12 games in a row would equal free burgers for Milwaukee fans because of that famous George Webb prediction. Dates back to the 1940s, was formalized in 1965 when the owner at the time painted the prediction on restaurant walls, advertised it in newspapers. If the home team won 12 in a row, it would equal free burgers at George Webb Restaurants. And that's only happened twice since that proclamation. The Brewers in 1987, that famous beloved team, ended up winning 13 straight, with the 12th victory happening on Easter Sunday. So what a celebration for so many. At the time, again, this is 1987, George Webb Restaurants handed out almost 170,000 free burgers. We know we love our brats here in Wisconsin, but apparently quite a clamoring for hamburgers, especially when they're free. And then the only other time we've seen this happen was also in 2018. Of course, that team that made the NLCS, Game 7 against the LA Dodgers that year. In the lead up to that, the end of the regular season, beginning of the postseason, they won 12 straight games as well. So that year, 2018, George Webb served up 90,000 burgers, handed out 100,000 vouchers for free burgers. So no clear note on how many were eventually served, but 170,000 free burgers back in 1987, at least 90,000 plus all those vouchers given out in 2018. Can the Brewers do it once again here in 2025? 11 straight heading into the series, middle game of the series here tonight against the Seattle Mariners. Pretty good shot when you have the Miz on the mound for the Brewers, looking for 12 in a row tonight. Jacob Misiorowski, the young phenom who has been phenomenal so far for the Crew, up against Logan Gilbert, right-hander for the Mariners tonight. So we shall see if the Brewers can indeed pull this off. Seattle's no slouch. 6 games over 500. They're a good team at home as well. A few games over 500 at their home ballpark, but the Brewers got a 6-0 blanking of the Mariners last night, and if Jacob Misiorowski and the rest of the Brewers can come through tonight, it will equal free burgers for anyone at a George Webb restaurant. Again, we hope to bring you some of that fun chatter, of course, for the restaurant. It's great branding, great attention, and it's been a fun historical note for Brewers fans over the decades, going back to the 1940s and then the 1960s. It was formalized, but only twice in Brewers franchise history has that come to fruition for fans of George Webb and fans of the Crew. The standings right now are just amazing. So yes, the Brewers do stand at 60-40 on the year. That's a .600 winning percentage, easy math, over their first 100 games. And with that, they have the best record in baseball. They're a game up on the Chicago Cubs, of course, now up on the Los Angeles Dodgers, who they recently have swept both home and on the road, and just a hair better than the Detroit Tigers, who also have 60 wins but have 41 losses, playing one more game than the Crew so far. So the best percentage in baseball is your Milwaukee Brewers at 60-40 on the year so far. All right, we want to switch gears a little bit. Hey, you'd probably take an airplane from Seattle back here to Wisconsin if you were out cheering on the Crew. You would have a trouble landing in Oshkosh, though, because, of course, we know that this week is when the Whitman Airport up there in Oshkosh becomes the busiest airport in the world for the stretch of EAA AirVenture. If you notice the man on the left in the sunglasses there in the polo shirt, that would be former Wisconsin Congressman Sean Duffy, now the Transportation Secretary under the Trump administration, ready to make a major announcement at EAA AirVenture in his home state up in Oshkosh. Let's listen in to some of the announcements happening here live on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Dealing with safety. I'm very honored that this week Secretary Sean Duffy elected to come over and find out what this was all about, and he spent a lot of personal time here. He's asked a lot of questions. He's got out and seen a lot of things. And I'm very excited and interested to hear his opinions of what he thinks so far. So thank you. And Sean?
Oh, it's great to be with all of you. I apologize first off. I've come down with a cold. I lost my voice yesterday, but it came back for this great event today. Before we get started, just real quick, how many of you are not from Wisconsin? Raise your hand. Not. So, okay, great. So hopefully you've had some spotted cow beer, you've had cheese curds, and you've all experienced our great Wisconsin weather. I would just encourage you to spend more money to help drive our economy in Wisconsin. We'd be grateful for that. Just spend a little bit more. But welcome to our great state. It's wonderful to be back here. I've spent my whole life in Wisconsin, born and raised a little bit further north, up in Hayward, and my congressional district was in Wausau and that northwestern third of the state. So it's good to be back. I just want to tell you all that I think it's fascinating that we have an administration that cares about aviation. Before I took this job, actually when the president gave me this job, he talked about big, beautiful roads and bridges that connect our people. That was the first thing he talked about. But the second thing he talked about in November of last year is he talked about aviation and how we have to make sure we focus on aviation. We upgrade our systems, we make it safer and more innovative. And so to have a president that cares like that about aviation is really helpful to drive the reform that we want to see in this space. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen what we've done with regard to air traffic control. We are going to modernize ATC. By the leadership of Sam Graves in the House, who's here. They gave us a historic $12.5 billion to start this upgrade, which is absolutely historic. And we are driving reform to bring online more of our air traffic controllers. You all know we're 3,000 short. We get slowed down, we get delays, we get cancellations. We're grateful for our current controller support, but we need to bring more people into the industry, and we want to ask those who are at the age of retirement to stay on and help us out. So excited about all of that, but I know that's not why you're all here today. We're excited because this administration, as I mentioned, along with the president, has promised to modernize aviation safety and efficiency, and today we're making good on that promise. We just finalized a major reform that's going to make recreational flying safer, more accessible, and far less red tape to tie us up in. And as you all know, that is our mission on Mosaic. And so, that's right. So for too long, our rules have been outdated, holding back our pilots, our builders, and our innovators. It's been over 20 years since this rule has been updated, and by the way, a lot has changed in the last 20 years, and so that's why we're excited to be here today. But in essence, what we're going to do is we're going to remove outdated weight limits on light sport aircraft. We're going to allow properly certified pilots to fly more aircraft, including some aerial work. And this expands what qualifies as light sport, cutting unnecessary regulatory burdens while keeping safety front and center as we go forward with these rules. I couldn't be more grateful to one of my key partners in the FAA, which is Chris Russell, who's going to speak after me, but he has been a killer that's probably the wrong word. He's been critical in driving this reform, and now we have Brian Bedford, who is going to be the administrator and also cares about all of this as well. But we want to encourage way more interest in aviation. Sometimes I'm driving around and you see all the airplanes. It's hard to think we can have more interest because of all the interest here, but we should have more interest in aviation. It's also going to allow us more capabilities and benefits to advanced air mobility, the eVTOLs that you're seeing around the air show. That's right. And it's going to enhance safety by ensuring the latest technologies are able to be incorporated into all of your aircrafts. So this is an exciting time. I'm thrilled about the rule. And the one thing I'm going to ask you before I step back is the best ideas do not come from DOT. The best ideas don't come from the FAA. The best ideas come from all of you on how we can do a better job. And I would just tell you all, we have an open door. And if you have great ideas on what we can do differently, what we can do better, that's going to drive innovation and drive safety, we are all ears because I think that's the mission of government. The mission of government should not be to hold back and have so many burdensome rules and regulations that don't allow those innovators to innovate and drive your safety while you're in the air. So I want to thank you all for coming out. Happy to be back in Wisconsin, and I would just make one last pitch that you all spend a little more money than you ever anticipated in Wisconsin to help drive this great economy. Thank you all very much. I'm going to now turn it over to, again, one of the key drivers, one of my best partners is the acting administrator of the FAA, Chris Russell.
Well, thank you, Mr. Secretary. And on behalf of the FAA, the entire FAA, thank you so much for your leadership in getting this rule across the finish line. I will tell you all, I've had the great fortune of working with the Secretary now for over 6 months. And as you can tell, the passion, the commitment to aviation in general, but certainly to aviation safety, has been remarkable. I've had the good fortune of working with the FAA off and on for over 25 years, and I've never had a leadership team, particularly Secretary Duffy, like we're experiencing today. So thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I also want to take a moment to say thank you to the FAA team, my team, that has been so hard at work with all of you in getting this rule done. And also, I think it's very important to realize, in addition to the FAA work, we went through over 1,300 comments in our public notice. And so thank you to the industry for contributing to this rule. It really is a great testament to government and industry coming together to put together rules that make sense, rules that lower the bureaucracy and increase safety, because that's what we're all about every day. So, as the Secretary said, Mosaic will expand access to safe, modern, and affordable aircraft for recreation, training, and aerial work, all while upholding the highest safety standards. It brings major updates to light sport aircraft and to sport pilot privileges based on 2 decades of solid safety performance. Now, over the next year, we will phase in this rule and conduct broad outreach to everyone so they know what's changing and how we will implement that together. General aviation remains the backbone of American aviation, and its safety continues to be our top priority. this spring's General Aviation and Business Aviation Call to Action, hosted by many of the general aviation associations that are here today, was much appreciated and another step in that journey to a safer general aviation community. Now, looking ahead, we're working with industry and international partners as well to safely integrate these new technologies, such as eVTOLs, advanced air mobility, and other types of technologies, safety technologies and avionics that go into the aircraft themselves. Together with global partners such as the UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, we're also harmonizing the standards so that the builders of these aircraft can sell those aircraft overseas and, again, maintain that global safety posture. As I like to say, safety is a team sport. It depends on collaboration across the FAA, across industry, and of course, the aviation users themselves. I'm inspired by the collective effort I see here every day at AirVenture, and I see Mosaic as one of those prime examples of what we can do together when we get in that room and work it out. So, together we will continue to keep our skies safe, accessible, and of course, to make sure that we continually prove along our successful paths going forward. So, thank you all. And now, it's my pleasure to recognize Chairman Sam Graves, a true champion for general aviation. When we think about the FAA reauthorization of 2024 and the first ever general aviation section in that bill, in that law, it's because of Chairman Graves and his leadership. So it's my pleasure to introduce him now for a few comments.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here. This is my 30th time to Oshkosh, to AirVenture. And I've been coming here a long time, and it's even better when you get to come and coming on the heels of a great bill that we passed, an FAA reauthorization, and all the good work we did with GA. But I have to commend the President Trump, in his commitment to modernizing our air traffic control system, which was in the big, beautiful bill that we passed. And we did have a down payment in there, as the Secretary mentioned, at $12.5 billion. That's a down payment. It's going to take more money, and we will find them the money that they need to get this done and get it done quickly. But I have never seen a secretary more committed and more engaged in fixing the problems that we have in aviation, the problems that we see as pilots in aviation. And Secretary Duffy is working, and I look forward to working with him more to implement the FAA reauthorization and all the provisions in there. But he is completely committed, and that's a great thing. It really is. And the fact that he's here is that's what shows it. That's what shows it. So with Mosaic, I was there when we did the first sport pilot rule. And as was pointed out, as Chris pointed out, we've got almost 2 decades of good, hard data to be able to go back on. So in the FAA reauthorization, we put a deadline for the FAA to get the final rule for Mosaic done within 2 years. And they beat that by 9 months. That's something great. When the FAA gets it done early, that's a good thing, but this is a pattern that's we're continuing to see within the FAA, and that's due to the leadership of Secretary Duffy and the leadership of Deputy Administrator Chris Rochelle. That is a commitment that they have made to aviation, and that's a commitment that we're going to continue to get to see. But Mosaic is going to make light sport more accessible and more versatile, and it's going to bring more pilots into the process, which is exactly what we need. But I want to thank them. Thanks, guys, for what you did and for implementing that and doing it. I'm going to turn it back over to Jack.
Real quick, I should have mentioned we all enjoy this great event, and under Jack's leadership, he has built this out in a profound way. And Jack, I know everyone here appreciates your hard work to make this a world-class event, the best in the world right here in Oshkosh. So thank you for the leadership. And just as a note, if you see one of these folks walking around in an FAA shirt, there might have been times in the past where you might have want to boo them. Tell them thank you. because it has been their truly hard work that has been on the forefront of thinking how we can do better to serve all of you, drive innovation, and truly drive safety. So if you see those blue shirts and the FAA logo on them, please say thank you to them, because they're working tirelessly for all of you to get it right. With that, we're happy to take questions. I hope the media is going to have really nice questions for us today, like the weather. We'll see. And I know Chris is going to come up here with me as well. But first off, any questions?
Hey, Secretary Matt from WISA in Milwaukee. I saw you up in the tower yesterday. I'm curious, with the funding, what is the $12 billion going to allow you to do, and what happens if you don't get the additional 19?
So the question is, we have $12.5 billion, which, by the way, Sam Graves gave me all the money he possibly could to get us that $12.5 billion. So number one, we're going to redo telecom, right? Radios, voice switches, let go from copper to fiber, build a brand new telecom network. We're going to replace our 1950s, 1960s, 1970s radar with that money. We have $2 billion for a brand new center. Where that's going to go, we don't know yet. There's potentially opportunity for consolidations of centers in the country. But if you're thinking about a brand new air traffic control system, it really is the common automation platform. It's the software on how this is going to work. We got a little bit of money, I think $300 million, if I'm not mistaken, to start that process. We're going to try to. I've asked Chris to pull up the FAA cushions in the couch and shake it to find more cash. But that is the part that's going to take us a little bit of time. It's going to take us, whether it's 7-8 months to ask industry to provide us with a product that will work for the American airspace. We have to debug it, so we're probably a year and a half out before that could be deployed. But that truly is the new system that we don't really have an off-the-shelf solution to deploy. And I'll just make one other note. It's been a problem because Congress has given sporadic funding, no doubt, but this is complicated to do. But again, if we can put a man on the moon with technology that's less powerful than your iPhone, we can absolutely update our air traffic control system, and we are going to make that happen. And if it doesn't happen, I can guarantee you, hopefully not on Twitter, but somewhere else, the president will fire me. So I'm going to make sure that happens for sure.
And quickly on training, we visited the site in Joliet recently where they're training folks to become air traffic controllers. Do you have any plan? Is there a concern that the training needs to expand? You need to open more sites, you need to get more people trained? On the back end, how do you solve that?
So we're talking about controllers. Oklahoma City is the heart of training our controllers. There's the opportunity to have more schools stand up and train more controllers. But we have the most controllers in the history of Oklahoma City at our training facility right now than ever in our past. We're going to hit our 2,000 controller threshold this year. We're hoping to get to don't lock me into this. I'm going to shoot for 2,500 next year. Maybe it's going to be 23, 24, but we're going to get more controllers in. I'll just tell you, it was more complicated than you would recognize to actually get rid of the bottlenecks, to get the best young people into the school first and get them in fast. If it takes 2 years after you apply for the school and you can't get in, you're going to go find some other job. So we've streamlined that process. I've also offered controllers who are at the eligible age of retirement to stay on, help us out. We're giving them a 20% upfront bonus per year for every year they stay. These are the most experienced controllers. We're in great need. We want to see them stay on with us, help us out during this time. So, and again, you saw. Thank yes. And by the way, if you see the pink shirts around, thank them too. They're doing an awesome job here and excited to be at Oshkosh. Again, they all bid to come to this great event. So that's what we're doing. And again, none of these solutions happen overnight. I can't snap my fingers and fix them. The problems have taken decades to create. It's going to take us, months and some years to fix some of these. But if we don't start now, it never gets fixed. And so we are fully engaged to make sure that we revitalize and remake our complete system. So you want to talk more about Mosaic?
So today, the rule is live. You can go on the internet right now, and the rule is live. So we're very happy. Again, credit to the Secretary for setting a deadline and driving us, as the Chairman talked about. We beat that requirement in the reauthorization. We're very proud of that. Now, over the next year, we're going to roll that out because it's, having read it twice, it's very long, it's very detailed, and it's going to mean different things for different operators. At the end of the day, though, we're talking about opening up the light sport aircraft category, making it safer based on the data we've already received. So we're very proud of that. And again, we've got some subject matter experts here later on. If you want to engage them, they're very proud of the fantastic work they've done, again, along with industry itself. So again, back to the question, we're going to roll this out over the next year. We're going to be working closely with stakeholders, with the industry, to make sure that we get this, as we roll it out, right, so that we can translate and make sure that the application itself is correct. So again, very proud of our opportunity here to work together to make this category of aircraft safer as we bring in more people to our aviation community.
Just so everybody understands, the most important part of this is it eliminates the weight rule. What it does is it bases it on stall speed, 61 knots, no more than 61 knots stall speed. So what that's going to include is your Cessna 172s, 150, your Cherokees, all the Piper Cherokees out there. It completely overhauls that, and we're going to base it on, that's the most important part of this. And also there's no seat requirement in there anymore. We've done away with all that. It's based on 61 knots stall speed. So that's what everybody wants to know.
Mr. Secretary, welcome to Oshkosh. Can you describe some of the other parameters that are going to be part of the new Mosaic rule? There have been a number of them that have been in contention from parts of the industry, above and beyond stall speed, which of course is critical to many, and good on you for that one. But we'd like to get some more parameters if we could.
So we'll tee these guys up. Before we came out, Chris said, I'm taking all Mosaic questions with Sam Graves. I said, okay, that's fine. So.
Yeah, so I'll start that answer by saying we have the people that wrote that rule that will be helping you implement that rule right here, and you can get them afterwards. But the big things, as the chairman talks about, is taking that weight limit away, right, and allowing for additional safety technologies to be put in these aircraft to be sold in a safer manner and operated in a safer manner. The other thing I think that's significant that didn't come up is the requirements on noise. Right? So there was a lot of feedback that we got from the public on noise requirements, and we should leave them in there, we shouldn't, we should make them mandatory. And so what we ended up doing was made them voluntary, because again, what we're talking about here is the manufacturing of aircraft that are going to go around the world, right? We want our manufacturers to be able to sell, and so having that as an option so that if they meet those standards, they can sell those aircraft overseas is where we wanted to go with this. So I think the weight limit is big. We will see training. I think there's going to be advantages to training. There'll be some aerial work that are in different categories, and as the chairman mentioned, we've increased the seating capacity as well. So those are the big takeaways. Thank you.
As you can see there, excuse me, I will get the proper camera up. Was just trying to have a little fun with our different cameras there and our options here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Carl Deffenbaugh back with you. You've been listening to the acting administrator, of the FAA there, Chris Rocheleau, along with the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, back in his home state. Of course, a former Wisconsin congressman making some announcements there at EAA AirVenture, a fitting place because EAA has been at the forefront of what you've heard a lot of discussion thereof. Mosaic is a proposal, a rule change, the modernization of airworthiness certificates. Mosaic for short there is the acronym. EAA is looking to expand both access for sport pilots out there. These are kind of on the lower end, more entry-level pilots, and then light sport aircraft, also on the smaller size of this, and kind of what it could mean for access to aviation, bringing in new pilots to aviation. As you heard, a big round of applause there for some of the changes, stall requirements and things like that I am certainly not an expert in, but for the pilots out there, I'm sure that speaks to you. It's been a long time coming, and EAA has been kind of the center of this going back to the 2000s. EAA was working with the FAA, trying to establish the next generation of these rules and trying to expand some of the access for pilots. So at EAA AirVenture, that is where the Transportation Secretary and the acting administrator of the FAA decides to make that announcement a fitting place. All right, here on the live desk, it is 1 o'clock. We are rolling right along on this Tuesday afternoon. We will go from vehicles that take you up in the skies to, well, one that used to take you out on the water and has had quite a life and a rebirth since then. What is the future of the SS Minnow, also known as Deep Thought, the boat that would not leave the Milwaukee shoreline for months and months? We will take you there live because bidding has begun. You could own Deep Thought if you so choose. And our reporter Jason Calvi will join us after this short break on the Wisconsin Live Desk to explain how, why, any other questions we might have surrounding the saga that does not end of the abandoned boat in Milwaukee. We'll be right back on the Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. You remember that song, "This is the song that never ends"? Well, this is the boat saga that does not end here in Wisconsin. As we give you a live look from our Esterbrook Park tower camera, you get a little bit of the Milwaukee skyline and, of course, Lake Michigan out there, which became the final resting place for the abandoned boat Deep Thought, which has had quite the saga along the shoreline of Lake Michigan here in our great city, and apparently continues. We just can't get enough of the boat that will not go away. And where is it? There it is, a live look as bidding, yes, has begun on Deep Thought. Now, I'm told that our Jason Calvi is somewhere here, a bit of a Where's Waldo situation. Jason, where are you on this Tuesday afternoon for us on the Live Desk?
Hey, Carl, I am on the back of Deep Thought. Can you see me over here?
There he
so
is.
this boat could be yours, Carl, if you pool the money together, maybe in the newsroom, see if we can get some people to join together. Right now, this is on the market. The bidding has begun. The top bid right now, $1,000. There's been about 27 bids so far this morning. The first bid was $10. It's been ramping its way up. Now it's at $1,000. So just you could partner with your friends in the newsroom, or those of you listening can partner and get some money together to make this boat your own. But guess what? If you buy it, it's yours. You'll own it. and then you're going to have to get it out of here as well. I mean, think about how long it took for those professionals to be able to get this boat out of the water. Remember, it first was in the fall that this boat really came ashore on Lake Michigan. It was on the sand there, and a lot of that sand is still inside of this boat. When I was looking inside of it right now, actually, Carl, I can see a lot of sand on the inside. So if you take this, it's going to be yours, and I guess the sand's going to come with it. So just looking inside here, you can see all the graffiti for months and months. This was on the banks, rocky banks of Lake Michigan. It was a rocky effort to try to get this thing out of that water, and finally back this spring, it finally came out. So the timeline on this, in October of 2024, this boat came ashore on Lake Michigan in Milwaukee, and then they started trying to pull it out in November. They started pulling it from the water, but that wasn't successful. It took them many attempts. They kept trying to pull it from the water, and then finally the county took over the efforts. They actually decided to hire All City Towing, which is where we are right now. This is the towing company that actually towed this boat out of the water. They did it from land. They pulled the boat out of the water from the land using these big high-powered cranes, and unfortunately can't see them right now, but they use these big cranes to pull this thing out of the water, and they actually got it done. And it was a question that day when they pulled it out if they were going to be able to accomplish it, because after months and months of trying to pull it from the water, another salvage company was not able to do it, and this group was able to pull it. May 6th, that was the day that Deep Thought was removed from the lakefront. All City Towing has had this boat on their lot here since then. So that's 2.5 months that this boat has stayed right here. And now, soon, it could be yours. The bidding's going to go on for another 2 weeks, so it starts today. It'll go on until August 5th, and the highest bidder, this will be your dream boat.
My favorite idea that's running through my head right now is someone who checks in on the live desk today for the very first time with no knowledge of Deep Thought or this whole saga, and is just like, what the heck is going on? Why are they trying to sell me this absolute wreckage here that's not even seaworthy at this point, clearly, from what you're looking at? And you're not exactly selling it here, Jason, with all that sand that you're showing us and the destruction on board. So tell that viewer who might be watching how this became such a thing. We have had a lot of fun with it. It's been very tongue-in-cheek over the months and months that you were detailing there, but why this became such a cultural touchstone for Milwaukee when we have so much else going for us, including plenty of perfectly serviceable boats.
It just became sort of this cultural icon of Milwaukee. Even if you looked at Google Maps, you would have seen the USS, the SS Minnow, the name of this boat, which is nicknamed Deep Thought, which is right there on the bench there. You can see Deep Thought's name right there. So really, it took on a life of its own. I mean, people would come to look at this boat in the water, and really kind of unified the city. It was sort of in the wreck here, it became sort of a sight to behold, and for months and months and months, it was unable to be pulled out of the water. I mean, there was all these efforts to try to get it out of the water, and the question was it going to be pulled or not? It finally was pulled 2.5 months ago, but this really became sort of a rallying point for the city to have a good laugh. People would come out there and maybe have a toast or have a drink on the waterfront and take pictures with it, selfies. And in this era of social media, this was a place where you could really come get a photo of it and say, hey mom, look at this boat that's just washed ashore of Lake Michigan. And that really was something that had been going on for months and months and months, finally coming to an end about 2.5 months ago when they pulled this boat finally out of the water. It's really that question, that story of whether or not it was going to actually be able to be removed, and all the efforts before that event in May were failed, really. And so now finally it's out of the water, and the county owns this because the people that originally had possession of this, that ran out of fuel, I should say, and they abandoned the boat. And so according to the Corporation Council in Milwaukee County, that means the county now owns this boat. And so now the county is selling this boat. They're going to the highest bidder right now. $1,000 is the highest bid right now. It could go up and up from here. We'll see.
It certainly has the scars, you can say that. Just in the front, what would that be, the bow of the ship. You can see all the marks where they tried to pull it out with chains and it was just ripping through the hull as well. Jason, I specifically remember driving along Lincoln Memorial like right after it got stuck and just looking over and being like, that's odd. There's like perfectly pristine, beautiful looking, at the time, all white boat just sitting there so close to the rocks, not near the marina. How is it there? And obviously it's turned into so much more than that, as you detailed over the years. What is the county hoping for? Like, what is their best case scenario? Who do they think is the person out there, and what would they do with this wreckage?
Yeah, and hopefully the person that buys it's thinking that through, because they're going to have to move this thing, right? They're going to have to pay. It's your boat, but you're going to have to get it off this lot. So I did talk to some people that bid on this today, actually, and the person I spoke with was the high bidder for a while. He's not right now, but he was the high bidder, and he wanted to actually buy it and then rip it apart, take it apart and sell pieces of the boat. And he said charity auctions, and then as well just to kind of recoup the cost of demolishing this boat. So that's one idea that I've heard is from one of the bidders is to come here and actually tear it apart and then sell the pieces one by one. So, think about, you could have that, then actually you could just, for example, we come back here, Eddie, one of the ideas I heard from somebody that bid on it was to potentially cut off the back here. You've got this bench, see this bench here? And then you have the Deep Thought name right here. So they were thinking about maybe having that bench in their backyard or their garage. And then think about it, you've had a whole lifetime of stories. Then like your grandkids come to your house in decades from now and they say, what's with that bench, Dad? And you get to tell them the story about Deep Thoughts. And again, people that are just joining us, that are just tuning in for the first time, like, what's the deal with the boat? I mean, really just shows how much life this boat brought to the city. People had toast. They actually had a vigil for the boat. When it was said that the boat was going to be removed from the water, there was actually a vigil on the lakefront where people had candles and were doing toast and things like that. So that's one idea, is to cut off the back, use the bench in your backyard or garage. Another idea would be to cut off some of these pieces of graffiti here and, I don't know, put them up in your bar, or
it's like public art,
a business owner could have that there. Yeah, exactly. Public art. We'll see.
I like the idea
it's so
too,
huge.
Like, gather
and again,
round,
Carl,
kids. Let me tell you the tale of the SS Minnow.
Yeah, exactly. So this is our folk story. This is our story that can be passed down based on this. But it's so huge. It's a big boat. I was just thinking, well, what about if they put it up in a museum somewhere? But to get this through the doors, and again, it's weighed down with sand and mud on the inside there. I don't know if you're going to be able to get this through the doors of a museum. So that's, again, where one of those bidders was telling me he wants to see it kind of broken up into pieces and then sell it from there if he ends up winning the bid here.
Oh man, this is amazing. Can I ask, this became such a headache for county officials, and there was kind of like everyone was trying to pass the buck who was responsible for this. We haven't heard from the owners in months now at this point, the original owners at least. Is the county today at least a little bit more leaning into the absurdity of this, or is there still some kind of, look, we still have $50,000 that we're not going to get back if the bidding's only at $1,000 right now, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely part of the joke. The parks director for Milwaukee County had talked about when he was asked, do you really think that this boat is worth $20,000? And he said, well, I actually think it's priceless. So he thinks it deserves at least $20,000, if not more. So we'll see if he can get it. Right now it's at the bidding. As you can see here, they got a sign right here. Bidding is going to be going on for another 2 weeks. So it'll be an opportunity for you to actually come out and check this out. So if you're wanting to buy this, they're going to have a public inspection next week where you can come out here, look at it yourself, tour it, make sure you're making a good investment if you end up deciding to bid on this thing. One of the things that we're talking about is the cost. So it costs $50,000 for the county to pull this out of Lake Michigan. And so they're trying to recoup the cost by selling it. They did tell me they did say they raised about $30,000 in donations. So you can see there has been community interest in trying to get this boat removed from the lake. Remember, it was an eyesore. There were safety concerns because you remember, it's right on the water. So if there was waves coming up, crashing in the boat, it would make the surface here wet. And you're also passing through all these big rocks to get over to the boat. So it was really a safety concern for county leaders. They say, we really got to pull this thing out because somebody could slip on one of those rocks, or they could slip on on deep thought here and really have a serious injury. So that was part of the reason why they wanted to pull it out of the water. $50,000 for that tow job, and the county's got $30,000 in donations so far, so they're looking for 20 on this, but again, right now bidding is at about $1,000. A long way to go to get that goal of 20,000, Carl.
All right, so what is that? Quick math, 5%, right? They're 5% there to what they're hoping, I guess. You know,
Right.
Keep it going, keep the dream alive. I do wonder if they had sold like individual parts, if they could have racked up even more from all the different people versus, you know, what do you do with the massive one boat. All right, Jason, let me ask you this. You ever covered a story like this in your very long, prestigious broadcast career?
I mean, I've covered, I remember crazy stories of, but never anything like this, but I remember like snow days in Washington, D.C., when they would have a day where schools were canceled and even the government shut down. They'd say, okay, work from home or we're not going to work. It's a snow day. It's too dangerous. And then they would have organized snowball fights. So you'd have these 20, 30-year-old adults running around throwing snowballs at each other, organized chaos, and that was crazy. But this definitely ranks up there in the top 10 of wildest stories I've ever covered in my career.
I feel like we need to start a show here on Fox Local, Jason's wildest stories, with the other 9 or 8 there that you haven't told us about so far between Deep Thought and the snowball fights. All right, Jason, thank you for having some fun with us, leaning into the saga of the SS Minnow, Deep Thought, available for you. What do you think? How many people at the station could we get leaning in on this with us?
Well, how many people do we have working here? If everybody chipped in
I think
$100
we have about
what would we be
100
at?
people, so that'd be, I mean, the county would take that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. But then, Carl, what the heck are we going to do with it? I don't think the managers are going to want to have this as the background of our set. Probably.
We always joke about
maybe
doing,
real Milwaukee?
We joke about doing Fox 6 Wake Up on the Water as like a summertime thing. I think our goal was more of like a super yacht than, you know, what's behind you there, but it's all good.
I think we need to get the weather experts on. Can we
now
call
we're
the lady and have them leak in the weather? Because this would be great for the weather deck, don't you think?
I'm not sure the garden center that does our lovely landscaping out there would agree with you, but I like the idea. Yeah. We'll keep mulling it over because we still have 2 weeks to bid and maybe get in there right before the end. Jason Calvi covering the story of the year, you could say, very tongue-in-cheek for us here in Milwaukee. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Carl.
All you can do is laugh, right? That is all you can do. All right, this is the saga that will not end, but maybe it will in a couple weeks, although can't wait to hear what whoever actually submits a bid on Deep Thought ends up doing with said boat. All right, we are rolling along. It's a Tuesday afternoon and a fun one here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. A quick break. We'll see what we find for you on the other side.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, Carl Defmo with you here on this Tuesday afternoon, 1:19. We are rolling right along here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, bringing you all kinds of news. When we have our former Wisconsin Congressman Sean Duffy, now the Transportation Secretary, appearing at EAA Air Venture, one of the biggest air events in the country, and it happens right here in Wisconsin. We brought you that. Also, the saga of Deep Thought, the abandoned boat that sat along the Milwaukee shoreline for so many months, could be yours, as we learned from Jason Calvi. The bidding opening this morning, and we'll see what it gets. Now, a couple other news and notes I want to tell you about from the day so far. Let me pop up this live camera from outside of the White House. So this is a bank of microphones there outside of the White House. No one's stepping to those microphones right now, but this has already been quite a momentous day in Washington. President Donald Trump handling a number of different topics. He's trying to deflect a series of questions over the Justice Department's decision to interview Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, as this has become the story and a bit of controversy for the administration. Maxwell was convicted of helping Jeffrey Epstein sexually abuse underage girls and is now serving a lengthy prison sentence for that. Jeffrey Epstein, of course, died in prison. The president instead lashed out at some other things, trying to point the spotlight and other attention from his intelligence director in terms of some of the long-established findings about possible Russian interference in the 2016 election. The president trying to refocus things in Washington on that, as opposed to the so-called Epstein files. Now, another notable thing happened in the halls of Congress today. House Speaker Mike Johnson rebuffed pressure, including from some Republican members, asking for a vote about a release of the investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, which went on and has now not been released. Instead, House Speaker Mike Johnson sent members of the House home early, a month-long break that started early, as opposed to having a vote on whether or not those files should be released. So quite a back and forth on Capitol Hill and from the White House today, all while President Trump was also meeting with the president of the Philippines today, saying that they will open up that country's market to the U.S. The U.S. will not pay any tariffs, while on the other hand, the president said that Filipino goods would have a tariff rate of 19%, a previously threatened rate of 20%, so down just slightly after the president of the Philippines had a long meeting and gathering with the White House and with President Donald Trump today. The president also saying that the two countries will work together militarily, of course, the Indo-Pacific region, so key with China, a major power in that area as well. The president wrote on his Truth Social account saying the visit was beautiful and that it was a great honor to host such a very good and tough negotiator. So that is among the different things we are watching for you here on this Tuesday afternoon. Nationally, we've had a lot of local news for you here at this hour. We also want to take you to what is happening right now. Let me pop up another live camera that we got of interest to Brewers fans. This is a live look at the arena complex in Seattle. We had a nice wide shot of the Pacific Northwest earlier for you. This is a close-up on the right. You see where the Seahawks play, a couple buildings in the middle, and then on the left is the Brewers ballpark, which is a notable place today for Brewers fans. Excuse me, the Mariners ballpark, T-Mobile Park, there in Seattle. Tonight is the night the Brewers could potentially reach 12 wins in a row with a win over the Mariners. They stand at 60-40 right now, winners of 11 straight at this point. The first team in the National League to 60 wins. And if they get that victory tonight, well then, the hamburger counter would go from 1 to 0. George Webb Restaurants would be giving out those free hamburgers, as they did only 2 times in the history of this. We do want to tell you about something else. Let me pull up some breaking news that we are getting right now from our reporting partners at Live Now, which is the kind of national version of what you're watching here on the Wisconsin Live Desk from Fox. Ozzy Osbourne, the godfather of heavy metal, so to speak, has apparently died at the age of 76. This is according to multiple reports just happening in the last moment or so. The reporting was coming out. Osbourne's death came on the heels of a farewell tour that he performed with his bandmates just a few weeks ago, I believe. I'll try to get the date for you here. Ozzy Osbourne was supposed to perform in Milwaukee a couple years ago as part of Summerfest, had to cancel that show as part of his health struggles recently. Did do that farewell tour with his bandmates, performing just recently what was expected to be his final concert. But now the reports coming out today, the famous rock and roller turned reality TV star Ozzy Osbourne dead at the age of 76. We are getting a number of updates on this for you, so I'll just try to read through some of them. Osbourne suffered a number of different ailments in his life, but most recently, as he was getting older, Parkinson's disease. He revealed that he had that in 2020. Then at the age of 71, he'd gotten that diagnosis in 2019, actually. Did the announcement in a Good Morning America interview alongside his wife, Sharon Osbourne, saying it was the most painful, miserable year of his life. He'd also suffered from something called chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. He was also diagnosed with COVID-19 in April 2022, a couple years after the pandemic began. Sharon at the time shared that she was very worried about Ozzy at that time. June 2022, Ozzy Osbourne underwent a major operation for an unknown reason, though his wife said that he was determined that it was going to determine the rest of his life. And reports continued to surface in the years since that he has had more and more of these health issues. November 2023, Osbourne revealed that he was diagnosed with a spinal tumor, but remained hopeful that things would continue, and had some humor with it as well, including reference to Phil Collins saying, "I'm not going to get up there and do a half-hearted Ozzy looking for sympathy. I'm not going up there in a bleeping wheelchair. I've seen Phil Collins perform recently. He's got virtually the same problems as me. He gets up there in a wheelchair, but I couldn't do that." Ozzy Osbourne, a certainly unique character in American pop culture history, the British rock star, of course a global icon for so many years, survived by his wife, 6 children, and 3 grandchildren. Ozzy Osbourne, the reports coming in from Fox and multiple reports that he has died at the age of 76. Did get to perform a farewell tour with many of his original bandmates recently, but that is the latest from the world of pop culture here. Some breaking news coming in to the Wisconsin Live Desk and other reporting outlets from around the country as well. Just trying to see if there was any other kind of tidbits of information I could bring you on that, but we'll keep working on it. Closing in on the 1:30 changeover. Kim Murphy will be up next. Let me double check one thing real quick. We're going to pop up a report from the House right now. There's a series of different committee meetings right now, so let me put this up for you, and then we will probably be doing a bit of an extended break to handle the changeover right now, and then we'll get back with you. Give us one sec to get our bearings here, and then we'll be back on the live desk.
Ensuring of a secure and successful, exceptional experience for all the participants of FIFA 2026. We should move forward with collective responsibility and vigilance to ensure that FIFA and other international events hosted by Miami-Dade County exemplify both the celebration of the achievement and the higher standards of safety, unity, and resilience. I thank you for your attention, and I'm available to answer any questions or receive recommendations.
Thank you, Sheriff. I now recognize Mr. Davis for 5 minutes for his opening statement.
Chairman McCall, Ranking Member Poe, and distinguished members of the task force, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to testify at today's hearing and to contribute to this important discussion.
While that continues on Capitol Hill today, we are going to do a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Got to fit in a couple more, and then Kim Murphy will be with you for the second hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk. Much more on the life of Ozzy Osbourne, and much else to come from the news here in Wisconsin as well on the Live Desk after this. Thanks for watching.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon. I'm Kim Murphy here on the second hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk, taking the baton from Carl Deffenbaugh, the first hour of this Tuesday. The breaking news that we start this hour with, rocker Ozzy Osbourne has died. The Black Sabbath leader has been in poor health for a number of years, but the news just arriving into our newsroom that Ozzy Osbourne has died at the age of 76, referred to as the godfather of heavy metal. As we learn more details about that passing, we will bring them to you here on the Live Desk. But let's check in with Tammy Bruce to get you up to speed on some of the issues our U.S. government is grappling with.
Continued involvement in UNESCO is not in the national interest of the United States. UNESCO works to advance divisive social and cultural causes and maintains an outsized focus on the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, a globalist ideological agenda for international development at odds with our America First foreign policy. UNESCO's decision to admit the, quote, state of Palestine, end quote, as a member state is highly problematic, contrary to U.S. policy, and contributed to the proliferation of anti-Israel rhetoric within the organization. Continued U.S. participation in international organizations will focus on advancing American interests with clarity and conviction. Based on President Trump's executive order, continued participation in international organizations is under review, and this is one result of that review, confirming the importance of making sure that all of what we do comports with the America First agenda. And finally, in today's topper, President Donald Trump met with Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. in Washington, D.C., following Secretary Rubio's meeting with President Marcos yesterday. Both meetings reaffirmed the ironclad United States-Philippines alliance as vital to peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region, while advancing closer economic ties, including supply chain cooperation. Secretary Rubio announced plans to work with Congress to provide $15 million for private sector development in the Luzon Economic Corridor, part of a broader, more than $60 million initiative focused on energy, maritime issues, and economic growth. Both sides committed to regular high-level engagement as allies, particularly ahead of the 80th anniversary of the U.S.-Philippines diplomatic relations in 2026. So that is coming up, and I will now take your questions, and we'll go to Nadia.
Thank you, Tammy. I have two quick questions. The first one is quick. The second is not that quick. The first one is about Syria. It's reported that Ambassador Tom Barak is going to chair a security meeting between between Israel and Syria. Is this to avoid the scenario we seen last week? Can you elaborate on this potential meeting between them?
Well, what I can tell you is that all parties have reached a cessation of hostilities. We are calling on the Syrian government to lead on the next steps and hold all perpetrators of violence accountable for their actions. The United States government supports Syria's national unity and a peaceful and inclusive resolution with its minority constituents. I did speak with the Secretary briefly, actually just before coming up here, which is why I was a little bit late. But he expressed his optimism regarding the current situation, that there the Syrian government agreed to a boundary to not go into the Soweto area, but that there would be a boundary to make sure that jihadists were also not going in, to maintain some part of the peace, if you will. And he was enthusiastic about that was unfolding properly, and that everyone involved in the atrocities would be held accountable. And that could include people who also may be affiliated with the Syrian government. Obviously, a good opportunity for them to show their commitment to what needs to be achieved there. Yes,
Caroline, your colleague said that President Trump, and I want to quote him just to be precise, she said that President Trump hated seeing pictures of starvation of women and children trying desperately to get to the aid. He wants to see it done in a peaceful manner. as you know, there's 1,000 people have been killed around the food distribution center. So how can the State Department or the administration fulfill the president's statement of what he said now to make sure that the food amount is increased more than the 80 million that you mentioned to us before, and to make sure that people are secure and not killed while they're trying to get the food?
Right, that is clearly our North Star. It is the thing that is uppermost in mind for the president to still get peace so that these issues are no longer issues. Also, in my conversation with the secretary, he has noted that Special Envoy Witkoff is heading to the region now, to the Gaza area. And we all have, as the president and the secretary and the envoy, a strong hope that we will come forward with another ceasefire, as well as a humanitarian corridor for aid to flow, that both sides have in fact agreed to this. So we are looking forward to that arrangement and to a possible framework, again, regarding a ceasefire. Remember, we had one before, which Hamas broke. But what the secretary indicated.
And good afternoon. You are listening to State Department's spokesperson, Tammy Bruce, give her daily briefing and answer questions before the press. We're following that situation, but we're also following something closer to home. There is a large police presence right now in Racine. You are taking a live look. Our crew is there on the scene. All we can tell you is that we do have inquiries into authorities to find out exactly what is happening, but this is near Reschke and Prospect. Happening right now. It's still a very active situation. As we get more information, we'll let you know what is happening, but you yourself can see there are at least a half a dozen officers that are on the scene right now. There seems to be a concentration on a home that's there in the center, and residents are also outside, curious about what is going on. All we can tell you is that this is near Reschke and Prospect in Racine. Our photographer there is on the scene trying to get into a better position to give you a little bit more information on what is happening here. But this is the Wisconsin Live Desk. We continue to monitor this situation. We see, again, about half a dozen officers. The police tape is up. It's active, but it does not seem to be urgent, I would say. You know, it seems like it is right now in the investigative stage and not an active response, if that makes sense to you. And you can see neighbors there out on the lawn also trying to find out exactly what is going on. But again, this is a large police presence happening right now in the city of Racine. As we get more information, we will give it to you, but we're going to cut away from that live shot and bring you back here to the Wisconsin Live Desk here at our Brown Deer Studios. If you were watching us the first hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk, we ended with some sad news from the music world. Ozzy Osbourne has passed away. The singer has been open since 2020 with his health struggles. He revealed that he had Parkinson's disease after suffering a fall. That was back in 2020. His family releasing a statement saying it is with more sadness than mere words can convey that we have to report that our beloved Ozzy Osbourne has passed away this morning. He was with his family and surrounded by love. We ask everyone to respect our family and their privacy at this time. This was a family statement that was issued, but it was just a couple weeks ago that Ozzy completed his farewell show. And so fans who saw that show, it now becomes all the more special. That show was in his hometown with more than 40,000 fans there to witness his farewell show. But again, Ozzy Osbourne dead at the age of 76. I'm going to pop his picture up again. I mean, he is so dramatic. His family, of course, also gained fame with their reality show, The Osbournes. Who could forget Sharon? He was, you know, the frontman for Black Sabbath, and they performed. He was 76 years old with Parkinson's disease. He sang for 40,000 hard rock fans who gathered for this tribute. Starting that show with saying, "Let the madness begin." So again, very special for those who were able to see that farewell show in his hometown that took place just a couple of weeks ago. So if you are just joining us, Ozzy Osbourne has passed away. This is on the heels of another loss in the entertainment world. Malcolm Jamal Warner from The Cosby Show. That actor died at the age of 54 in a apparent drowning accident in Costa Rica. So hearts are heavy as we start the second hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk. I'm going to pop back to Racine, where we are keeping an eye on this situation, still trying to gather some information on what exactly is happening here. All we can tell you is that there is a large police presence in the city of Racine there, kind of pumping up some of the volume here to see if we can get any sense of what's going on. But we're talking about roughly Reschke and Prospect there. It looks to be smack dab in the middle of a neighborhood and focused on a house. What we don't see are first responders, any emergency vehicles there, so we don't know if this is related to any kind of a medical situation, if there is anyone hurt there, but it does look to be an active investigation. As you can see, the sheriff's department is also on scene there. So you see, what, 2, 4, 6, about 8 Racine police officers, along with a Racine County Sheriff's deputy, and then there are still more officers, presumably inside of that house. So as we get more information on what exactly is happening, we will give you the update. So let's talk about those Brewers there, shall we? Okay, they've won 11 games. So now we just need for them to win one more game, lucky number 12, and that means we get George Webb burgers. Now right now we are first place, Milwaukee. Go Brewers. Could this be our year? We're the first in the National League right now, holding the #1 spot. First NL team to 60 wins, 11 games in a row. We don't want to put too much pressure on them, but you know it's tradition here in Milwaukee that if the Brewers get on a really good roll and they win 12 games in a row, well, what happens next? George Webb steps up and they offer free burgers, yes, while supplies last. So we are definitely keeping an eye on that game tonight. Taking you now to, let's see if we can do this, Seattle. Where they will face the Mariners tonight for that game. So it's very important that we all send good juju out to the Brewers as they take on the Mariners. They win tonight. That means free burgers from George Webb. We're going to take a break as we continue to monitor the situation in Racine. We will be right back, but right now you're taking a live look. This is Seattle. The Mariners are hosting the Brewers tonight. Back in one moment. This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Back with you on the Wisconsin Live Desk. If it's happening right now, it is happening on the Wisconsin Live Desk. This is a live look from Racine right now. A large police presence gathered at Reschke and Prospect there. A house has been cordoned off with police tape. We have a crew obviously there on the scene, and as we get more information on exactly what's going down here, we will bring it to you here. If you are watching us right now on the Wisconsin Live Desk, if this is your neighborhood and you heard or saw something, feel free to reach out to Fox 6, our assignment desk, and let us know what you have seen and what you know about this situation. And we will, of course, vet that information and bring it to you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. I'm Kim Murphy. Thanks for joining us. There's so much that is going on this afternoon. So let's talk about something that actually happened this evening, concerning incident affecting a Wisconsin lawmaker. This is State Representative Priscilla Prado. Okay, keep this in mind. This is what happened at her home. This was around 10:20 last evening, I believe. An unknown shirtless man tried to open the door of her house in the city of Milwaukee, and this is who was captured on surveillance. A shirtless man approaching the home of State Representative Priscilla Prado. She lives in the city of Milwaukee. This person, described to be in his late 40s, early 50s, about 6 feet tall, 200 pounds. You can see shoulder-length blonde hair. According to the bulletin that went out from the Wisconsin State Capitol Police, this person was not successful in gaining entry into the residence, but did walk around the representative's property for quite a while. So take a good look at this man. Is he someone you recognize? Officers, police, law enforcement want to find out who this man is, what he was doing there, if this just happened to be just some random situation that he happened to show up at State Representative Priscilla Prado's home. This is the representative whose home this subject walked around late at night, 10:20. This is an active case with the Wisconsin State Police, but the public is asked to be on the lookout for this person. And if you do recognize this shirtless man who approached a state representative's home late last night in Milwaukee, law enforcement wants to find him, find out what he was doing. If this just happened to be, he just showed up at this doorstop, didn't really know who lived there, perhaps was in some kind of distress, needed help, needed directions. Perhaps he needed pants. He definitely needed pants. We can kind of, be a little lighthearted on this because the man did not gain entry into the state representative's home, and he was outside. We don't know if this person was suffering from some kind of mental health crisis, but it is concerning when you have this kind of contact. This is following, of course, we are all still very aware of the Minnesota lawmakers, the dedicated services who were attacked in their own home. 2 of them killed. Minnesota lawmaker Melissa Hortman was killed, and her husband, and State Senator John Hoffman was wounded, and it was a targeted political attack. A man identified as Vance Belter has been arrested. He is facing charges. Belter has some ties to Wisconsin, lived in our state for about a decade or so, attended college here, earning a master's degree. So this is why this is even more concerning, because we do have this incident just so recent in our minds that happened mid-June. And now you have this guy who not only appears to be shirtless, but also appears to be pantless, showing up at a lawmaker's home. So that is one of the news stories that we're bringing to you on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We continue to monitor what is or what is not happening in Racine. Our photographer is walking, trying to get a better vantage point of what exactly is going on. They are getting closer. We also are beholden to certain rules when law enforcement is on the scene and an active investigation. We are responsible for gathering the news, but we do not interfere with police, first responders, EMS, because they certainly have a job to do. So as we get more information on that, we will bring it to you. So now we're going to go, let's switch over to what is happening in D.C., just to give you a little appetizer, we'll say, of a hearing that's going on. And let's listen in.
Special events. Most of the upcoming national events that are across the country are going to be outdoor. And that's the biggest concern with the drones. And having a member from the local police, the state police, sheriff's office, and the federal entities together to collaborate, just having the availability or the authorization to mitigate, which is to disable or return the drone back to the controller, is not enough. You have to coordinate with the partners. And we did that to ensure that we did not take down another public safety agency's drone who were in fact doing the same as we did. So as we move forward, because drones are more accessible, because they have a capability for a higher payload and can remain in the air, the flight time is significantly longer, it's a unique challenge for all of law enforcement to maintain a temporary flight restriction. So to detect those within that TFR, even though
I always like to hop in and explain what we have just joined. This is a House Homeland Security Committee, a task force. They are studying lessons learned. This is an examination of security incidents at mass gatherings and the use of drones, among other things that they are discussing. So this is a Homeland Security hearing on security and just lessons learned about past situations, past incidents. Let's listen in again.
We are in the stages now of launching our Drones as First Responders program, and I've already taken shipment of those drones. But even still, the authority for local law enforcement, who are usually on the ground handling any kind of an incident right in real time, needs that authority, that not only the authority, but also the technology to down drones. You know, we are there in various different situations. Obviously, you know, if you could use the Chiefs Parade in that situation, you know, there was a lot of drones going over in the air, but at that point we had a lot of our federal agencies. I will say that in Kansas City we have a wonderful historical relationship with all of our federal partners, but even still, there are times when local law enforcement is experiencing an issue, sees a threat, and doesn't have the authority or the equipment to address that threat in real time.
And many times it's coming from, you know, you're on the ground, you're the line of defense, and we need that two-way street of information. I think this is something this task force will be looking at, is the authorities given to state and locals to work with the feds on UAVs.
I think also the problem is the availability. I mean, I don't know if you'd say it's availability, but they're inexpensive. Anyone can access them. And even here recently, I observed one that's used for agriculture, that you can fly over a field with pesticides. Those types of situations where you can just buy something like that online, you know, just having that local law enforcement authority to mitigate that threat in real time is really what's needed. I know that's been a topic of conversation here recently, and I just encourage you to continue that conversation and help us.
I agree, thank you. Chair recognizes.
House Committee Task Force talking about past incidents where mass gatherings were taking place and some of the lessons learned going forward. So we are definitely monitoring that, as well as a situation that is developing in Racine right now. We know that there are multiple law enforcement agencies on the scene, including the Racine Sheriff's Department and at least a dozen Racine police officers. We're going to pop in. We've got a steady shot right now. We're going to take a break, try to get some more information on this. When we come back on the other side, we're going to talk about after breast cancer diagnosis and a new program targeting young adults who are impacted by breast cancer and a new support system that's going.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
In this segment, we are talking about breast cancer. The diagnosis is devastating, not just for the person who's been diagnosed, but for the family and anyone in that person's orbit. Cancer, breast cancer, affects us all. ABCD is a group that is so sorely needed. It's after breast cancer diagnosis, and the group does such wonderful things in supporting survivors, those going through treatment, and they're expanding their services. We're joined by the Executive Director, Ellen Freeberts. Good afternoon, Ellen.
Hello, how are you? Thanks for inviting me to be part of your program today.
This is wonderful. We are now talking about a collaboration to help young adults who are diagnosed with breast cancer. That support wasn't there?
No. The support has always been here. Okay. We, ABCD, for more than 25 years, we've supported anyone at any age impacted by breast cancer. So that's anyone in their, from young adults into octogenarians. But what our new collaboration is an expansion of our services in collaboration with a fantastic organization called YSC, or Young Survival Coalition. They, like us, have been around for over 25 years. And our announcement is that they are going to be referring anyone that reaches out to them to ABCD so that we can provide our peer-to-peer support services to the people that are reaching out to them. And, sometimes people think about breast cancer as like someone who's in their 50s or 60s who gets breast cancer. But that's one of the statistics that we're trying to educate people about, that actually breast cancer is the #1 cancer in women ages 15 to 39. And an estimated 13,000 new cases will be of young people will be diagnosed just this year alone.
And thank you so much for sharing those statistics, because I think, too many of us do think of it as an older risk, but really breast cancer can affect anyone at any age.
Right. And that statistic that I just said was people who are 15 to 39. Wow. And so young women and, women of all ages, your #1 risk factor for getting breast cancer is if you're a woman. Men can also get breast cancer, but it is more likely to, if you're a woman, you have a higher risk. For ABCD, we have mentors who are volunteers, who are themselves people who are completed treatment, are living with metastatic disease, or previvors who are at high risk for developing breast cancer. And we've always had people who are of all ages in life. But with this new fantastic collaboration with YSC, again, Young Survival Coalition, we know that we are going to be able to reach and support even more people who need our customized peer-to-peer support.
Let's talk about, ABCD is also very close to us here at Fox 6. Melody Wilson, former colleague, she was here, but legend before I was here, actually established ABCD.
Correct. Yeah, so Melody Wilson Oldenburg, when she was diagnosed in 1992, she started sharing her story on live television as part of her broadcast segment. And what she realized is that people started calling her from around her viewer range, people who had been just diagnosed or people who were living with the disease. And she realized that if she was feeling alone and scared and overwhelmed, and so many people who were calling her were also feeling this way, there was this tremendous gap in services, and she was committed to filling that gap. So she left her career, her broadcast career, and started ABCD in 1999 to fill that gap. And we, in just 26 years, we have grown to be an internationally recognized breast cancer organization where we help anyone, anywhere, any stage. And since we are headquartered right here in Milwaukee, I'm right here in Glendale, Wisconsin, We always have we have a very heightened commitment to our hometown community and our hometown state. So you'll see us out and about at conferences all the time. And with this new partnership with YSC, we'll be able to reach and support even more young people who are impacted by breast cancer.
I think, you know, if you have never been touched by cancer or breast cancer, you are truly blessed, because it touches so many of our lives. And I know going through that with my dad, different kind of cancer, when you get that diagnosis, you almost kind of go in like a tube. You can't hear, just your mind is not focusing on the words. And so that's why we're so happy to share this expansion of ABCD, to let people know that there's someone out there who can walk alongside you.
Right. I mean, what Melody said is that no one should be alone after a breast cancer diagnosis. And that was true in 1999, and that's still true today. And especially with the ease of accessing our services, people can reach out to us on the phone. They can reach out to us on, sending us a message on email, filling out a form. There's Zoom. There's all ways to be connected to someone who can truly understand what it's like to be diagnosed with breast cancer. And at ABCD, going back to Melody's founding vision, we are all about connecting someone who needs our support with someone who is just like them. So we match on specific diagnosis, treatment, stage and age in life. And with what we're talking about today, I mean, a woman in her late 20s is experiencing something very different than a woman in her late 50s or 60s. And so when someone calls us, we are able to connect them with someone who is just like them. And Kim, just as an FYI, I mean, we have over 300 mentors right now across the country. Wow. About half of them are here in Milwaukee, or excuse me, in the state of Wisconsin. So, we are true to our community. And with people who are all ages and stages in life, we know that we can connect them to someone just like them to provide that peer-to-peer support services that you just can't get from very caring friends. You can't find it online. You can't sometimes even find it in a support group. So we're here for everyone at any stage. And with this new collaboration with YSC, we know that we're going to be reaching even more young people impacted by breast cancer.
Ellen, thank you so much for your time. I know that that is true. Anyone who's hearing our voices right now, maybe you're not the person who just got that diagnosis, but someone in your family is. You can share this information.
Yes, anyone, anywhere. If it's your neighbor, if it's your cousin, if it's someone who's your best friend who now lives in Florida. I mean, we can help anyone, anywhere, any stage. And truly, for young people out there, or anyone you love who is a young person, know that breast cancer can occur in early ages.
What did you say? Between 15 and 39 years old, there's an estimated
Yes.
13,000 new cases every year?
Correct.
Staggering information.
It is staggering.
We all have cell phones now, and they all have AI, whether we want it or not. So anyone, it's like, how do I find ABCD? Ask your phone, and you will be connected.
Exactly, but be sure to say ABCD after breast cancer diagnosis, because sometimes, you might, AI even might get confused with who we are, or just abcdbreastcancersupport.org.
There you go. Thank you so much, Ellen, and
thank you so much for having me.
For you, because I know this is it's from the heart.
It is.
It is.
It is. So, thank you.
Thank you. And we will be back right after this.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. It is a big day. It's the start of Packers training camp. We are talking to Tim Van Voren, who is en route right now up to Green Bay. Tim, let's talk about it. What are some of the big storylines this time around?
Hey there, Kim. En route to Green Bay. Looking forward to the start of the season. That is where we are on the calendar. If you've been around the Packers as long as I have, and sports photographer Mickey Leach, you know what's coming middle of July. So here we go. What are the storylines to follow with the Packers? There are several. Offensive line would be one of them. They re-signed one of their star players yesterday, Zach Tom, their right tackle. He gets a contract extension worth $88 million. Kim, you and I were talking on the set last night about how life changes when you got $88 million just sitting around.
It would for me.
So that's pretty good for Zach Tom. Their center, their veteran center, Elton Jenkins, used to be their veteran guard. Green Bay wants him to move to center this season, and Jenkins is, putting up a little resistance on that when it comes to the contract. He may or may not be out there for the first practice tomorrow. So we shall see on that. We'll try to track down, what his mood is as we monitor this situation with Elton Jenkins. Packers also had a first-round draft choice last year on the offensive line, a second-round draft choice this year on the offensive line, and they have a few guys who are hitting contract situations where they're wondering what their future is on the offensive line. So that's a big one. It's not maybe the most exciting position to watch, but it's an important one for the Packers this season. At cornerback, Jair Alexander has left the team. Packers releasing him. He's in Baltimore now, and the Ravens are the top Super Bowl favorite in the NFL, partly because Alexander adds to a very strong defense. In Green Bay, they're getting by without him. They don't have much youth coming in at the cornerback position, so it'll be guys who played roles last year, thrust into larger roles this year. Pass rush is sort of tied into cornerback. If you get good pass rush, it helps your cornerbacks. You don't get good pass rush, it more exposes your cornerbacks. So the pass rush, which is an area in need of a little juicing in Green Bay, is a situation to watch as well. And that stuff all starts on the field on Wednesday, Kim. It's the first practice. You've seen it before, all the years of the kids riding the bike, giving the bikes to the players and those guys riding over to practice. That's all part of Packers training camp. But for the coaches and the players, it's also serious business as the roster decisions and roster battles start to take shape.
Tim, let me ask you about Matthew Golden. He certainly made a splash at the draft. What are you hearing since he's been drafted? What is some of the excitement around him?
I'm not sure that I quite got all the question, Kim. And I am lost in the world to not hear all that Kim Murphy has to say. So my apologies. But what am I hearing about a splash? What am I hearing about, what Golden. The Packers could do? Maybe offensively, I'll take the question in that direction if that's where you were going. And Jordan Love coming off a marriage in the offseason, getting married in the offseason. He's the trigger man for this offense, and they have helped him. They added 2 rookie wide receivers in the draft. They get a tight end back from injury. Josh Jacobs was a super running back last season in his first year of Green Bay, so splash, it should be there. Jordan Love has to be consistent at quarterback. He doesn't have to necessarily be a world beater the way he was the second half of the Packers season a year and a half ago, but they can't have an inconsistent player at quarterback if they're not going to be able to be serious contenders in the NFC North. And the NFC North division is going to be one heck of a shooting match, Kim. You've got Detroit coming back as the champions of that division. The Vikings were the second-place team last year. They have a lot of talent with a new young quarterback. And the Bears have successfully upgraded their talent base over the last several seasons. They have a new coach. They're energized in Chicago. Will it actually translate to victories? Who knows? But it is something the Bears and the Bears fans have been waiting for some time. So, here it is. We're in the middle of July, and we're already talking about, what about those Bears? What about those Lions? It's crazy, Kim, but that's the level of interest in terms of splash on the sports scene for sure. With the Brewers doing so great right now, the Packers are not going to yield the spotlight at all. They're ready to get rolling this week with training camp.
Tim Van Voren, thank you so much for your time. Try to stay hydrated out there.
Sounds great. We'll join you this week.
All right. Bye. Tim Van Voren headed to Packers training camp, which starts tomorrow. you blink and football season will be here. So we have been monitoring this situation. This is in Racine, keeping a close eye on what is going on there. We're going to take a
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Testimony continues in Washington on lessons learned from mass gatherings and threats to those gatherings. Let's listen in right now, talking about the terror attack that happened in New Orleans and the response and lessons learned from that.
I think we've done a good job, and we have to earn the public's trust each and every day. But on that particular night, because we had all the resources and all the capabilities there, once we identified those two IED ice chests, we were quickly able to x-ray them and render them safe. And thankfully, to your point, that they weren't activated because the New Orleans police officers immediately engaged the driver of that truck, and he never made it to that destination. But the AI technology to rule out other potential threats, because we were still trying to play the game a few hours later, end up being delayed a day. But when you think about all the number of folks that were in town, and to reassure the community that was not only safe to come back to work, but safe to host that football game the following day, that trust is so important, as well as the technology. So I think sometimes we overlook that piece of the puzzle, but despite all of the technology and the number of officers, deputies, troopers, agents, if you don't have that public's trust and they're not coming to you with the information, we're not successful today.
Well, my time is far expired, and I thank you for your generosity. As I exit, I want to just again thank you for the great work that you all did to protect the citizens and visitors of New Orleans, and know that this committee will do everything in our power to arm you with the technology and tools to continue doing the great work. And Mr. Chairman, I yield.
Gentleman yields, and I recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Swalwell.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you to each and every one of our witnesses today and the men and women, sworn officers, a part of your departments who are responsible for making sure that these events are successes. And as the son of a cop and a brother to two police officers and a former prosecutor myself, I know that although when the confetti comes down and the winning teams celebrate, we see the players who were a part of the victory, but we don't see the men and women in law enforcement who made sure that it was a safe and fun environment for everybody who witnessed or participated in it. So thank you for that. My state, Mr. Chairman, California, over the next couple years, we will host, obviously, in 2026, the World Cup. I think we have 8 games Folks will see in February Super Bowl 60, where the San Francisco 49ers will run an undefeated season and cap it off by winning the Super Bowl at home, something that has never happened, a perfect season and a victory in your own stadium. And of course, in 2028, the Olympics in Los Angeles, and we expect the Bay Area may host some of the cricket matches. So we are ready to work with law enforcement and support its needs. And Chief Graves, I know you're looking at me as I'm talking about the 49ers, and you're talking about the Chiefs, and congratulations to you all on that win over the 49ers. I was only surprised at the parade that you referenced that I didn't see the referees on the float, because they were a part of the victory too. But again, I do look forward to working with all of you coming up on this, and this committee wants to be responsive to what the funding needs are going to be. I want to ask first, Mr. Davis, you had referenced that the Fusion Center can be a force multiplier. You said to best safeguard against evolving threats, intelligence agencies must remain open to collaboration. If intelligence and analysis are eliminated or its capacity and capabilities to share intelligence with the Fusion Centers were reduced, would that make us safer, and what impact would reducing the Fusion Center capabilities have on the safety of our communities?
Sorry. I think it would be devastating, Congressman.
You're listening to testimony. Task Force is meeting right now, examining major security incidents at mass gatherings, how law enforcement, states, all of those agencies can better identify and prevent these sorts of things from happening. You heard someone there from California referencing some of the big sports events that are headed to California. So keenly interested in how to make these events hard targets. So in our final minutes, let's recap some of the guests that we have had and some of the things that we've talked about. Let's start with ABCD and YSC. They are working to expand access peer support for young adults who have been diagnosed with breast cancer. ABCD stands for After Breast Cancer Diagnosis. The organization was actually founded by Fox's very own Melody Wilson Oldenburg in 1999 when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and shared her journey publicly and realized that there was just such a need for peer support. And this group transforms lives by providing free, personalized emotional support. You're matched with someone who is going through what you're going through. We're talking about age, ethnicity, circumstance, just someone. We spoke with Ellen Freibert, the executive director of ABCD, speaking of how a 20-year-old diagnosed with breast cancer, her experience, her journey is very different than someone who is going through this at the age of 60. And another thing to remember about this interview, breast cancer now is the most common form of cancer diagnosed in individuals ages 15 to 39, with an estimated 13,000 new cases in this age group every year. So that's something that we want you to know, and we want you to share as we conclude this afternoon. Also, we had some news from the entertainment world. Ozzy Osbourne has passed away. This is just weeks after his farewell tour. Ozzy Osbourne performed in his hometown in front of 40,000 loyal fans. The 76-year-old singer has been living with Parkinson's disease since he died. He revealed that in 2020 when he was actually diagnosed. We don't know, but Ozzy Osbourne has died at the age of 76, and his family is saying they thank all the fans for their support of them and of Ozzy throughout the years. But right now, they are just asking for support and distance as they grieve this loss. Then we're going to take you to Seattle, where the Brewers, hoping to make it 12 in a row. We're hoping to make it 12 in a row so we can get Free burgers from George Webb right now. They are your first place Milwaukee Brewers, the first NL team, 60 wins. Congratulations, they've won 11 in a row. So what they have to do tonight is focus. We need to send good juju to them so that they can win the 12th game. And if they do that right there in Seattle, well, we get some free burgers from George Webb. It doesn't happen tonight. So if they do win that 12th game, then George Webb will announce the future date when they will honor this milestone of 12 in a row. So it won't be tonight. So don't get ready to rush out to George Webb tonight if they win. Just know that it's coming soon and to keep your ears peeled. And then we want to take you to Racine. We are following some breaking news there. We have a crew that's been on the scene. Our photographer tells us not only is the Racine County Sheriff on the scene and police officers, there's also SWAT, and they have been seen at times with their guns drawn. But we leave you with this story of the bizarre but very serious all the same. State Representative Priscilla Prado lives in Milwaukee, and overnight someone showed up at her door and tried to enter. They were not successful, but Wisconsin State Police sending out this bulletin. They want you to be on the lookout for this man. They say around 10:20 in the city of Milwaukee, this man who was shirtless and maybe pantless, so let's just go ahead and call it naked, showed up at the representative's door around 10:20. It's unclear if he was there to see the representative, if he even knew that she lives there. They just say that they want to find out what the deal is. He's described as being between in his 40s and 50s, about 6 feet tall, weighs about 200 pounds, and as you can see there, he's got shoulder-length hair. It didn't stop there. He was not able to get in through the front door. According to the bulletin that went out from Wisconsin State Police, he did walk around the property for a while. So they say if you can identify this man, they want to hear from you. We cover it all here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and if it is happening live here